Okay, so today in this video I'm going to give you some hints and tips on hand care when kettlebell training. And in terms of hand care, what we're trying to avoid really when we're doing kettlebell training is the whole tearing of calluses that comes about. And the reason I'm putting this together now is as the weather's starting to get warmer, then if you're doing regular kettlebell training, particularly snatches and cleans, then as the air gets warmer, then you're more likely to tear the hands. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to avoid that, and some methods that I use in order to hopefully prevent your hands from tearing during snatches, cleans, so on and so forth. So what we're talking about here is, on my hands you can see at the moment I have got some callus build up, and really what we're aiming to get is to try and get our hands as smooth as possible, because any ridges of calluses like this are more likely to catch on the kettlebell handle and therefore increase the chances of tearing. And what we're talking about when we're holding the kettlebell is calluses form when the handle of the kettlebell is deep in the palm of the hand and we get this pinching occurring in between the fingers and this fleshy bit here. Okay, so holding the kettlebell like this is more likely to result in tearing. Whenever we're doing snatches and cleans, that our technique, which is beyond the scope of this video really, is to get the handle of the kettlebell into the hook, so the calluses here are actually behind the handle. So that's what we're aiming for ultimately with the technique. However, sometimes that doesn't always happen when we're doing our cleans and snatches, and sometimes it's going to be in the palm and therefore potentially risking tearing. Okay, so say for instance you're preparing for a strong first certification or something similar, or you want to be working on kettlebell snatches and cleans. It's always a good idea to tidy up and sort out your hands first, and there's a few methods available, and I'm going to order these from least effective to most effective, which I've found over the years. So first method is pumice stone. Just use that to file down or sand down your calluses. Takes a while to do that, depending upon the degree of callus buildup that you've got. That may take a while. Second thing you can use is a foot file like this. So this one's got a fairly gentle side and then a more aggressive side as well. And again, using that to keep on top of the calluses to file them down can be a good thing to do pre-training. The one that I've found most effective is this Callus Blade. Okay, and all you do with this, I'm not going to do it just because, you know, I don't want you guys to be disgusted out, but all you do is you literally peel those calluses off using the blade, and that's one of the most effective ways of doing it. These are available from Boots. It's just a safety corn knife is what it's called, but these are really good for removing calluses. Just need to be careful that you don't cut too deep, because if you cut too deep onto the more tender skin, that's going to make your training session uncomfortable as well. So those are some tips there in terms of the methods that you can use to reduce calluses prior to doing kettlebell snatches and cleans, and just keeping on top of your hand care to reduce the likelihood of tearing hands. Second thing is a taping technique that you can use. Now I would use this personally if I wanted to do some kettlebell snatches and it was a hot and humid day. Hands are more likely to get more sticky to the kettlebell. They're going to be softer, a bit more swollen. You're more likely to tear. Okay, so prevention is always better than cure. So obviously we want to be snatching and cleaning with the correct technique. We want to make sure our calluses are filed down correctly. We also can, if we want to, use some tape. Okay, so all this is rock tape or KT tape or similar. And what I've done here is I've trimmed down a length of tape that goes from my finger here down my wrist. So I've got plenty of tape available. And what I've done, this stuff is about, I don't know, it's about 5 centimeters wide is the one that you want. I've folded over the top and cut a little hole in the top. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to put my finger through the hole and then stick this tape down to the palm of the hand And then I'm going to use some zinc oxide tape to fix in place. And that pretty much then covers the area really well that's more prone to tearing with a kettlebell. So I'll show you what this looks like in just a second. Okay, so I've peeled off the start of the back, and then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to uncurl this down, making sure you don't twist it, onto the palm. I'm then going to secure this in place. Now I don't want the tape to be too tight because I just want it to fit the contours of my hand. So I'm now in that position here. I've got some zinc oxide tape here already cut down to size, and this is to anchor the tape in place. So I'm just going to wrap it around my wrist. Again, you don't want to have it too tight. We don't want to be cutting off circulation, which will then negatively affect our grip during training. But that's basically what it looks like. If I was being fussy, I'd probably just trim that little bit off. But anyway, you get the idea. That is calluses protected, flexible tape, very thin, and then anchor tape locked in. So that's the method I would use for protecting my hands on a particularly a hotter day when I want to get in some good snatch and clean volume. Because of course, if we end up tearing our hands, then that can have us out of action from snatching for a week, possibly 2 weeks, while we wait for the new skin to grow back. And of course that then is going to hold back your training. So prevention is always better than cure. If you're doing a snatch set and you start to feel a pull occur in the hand, it's always wise just to stop. Check the hand. If it's pulled, then stop straight away, because that's just going to get worse and worse, and you'll end up getting a flap of skin if it hasn't already happened. So that's what I would recommend in terms of hand protection. If you're doing a lot of kettlebell training and you're finding that your hands are starting to get dry over night time, then what we want to be doing is keeping the skin as supple as we can and as callus free as we can. So at night time, it can be useful to put on a hand cream or something similar. And this is the stuff I use. It is called Climb On. It's a lotion bar, and it's used by climbers. But it's basically quite a waxy hand bar. Put it on at night time, rehydrates your skin, keeps the skin nice and supple and soft, and again is less likely to tear your hands because they're too dry and cracked and more likely to tear. So anyway, that's the top tips I've got for hand care for kettlebell training. But like I say, prevention is always better than cure. So techniques comes first, or improving your technique so that you can get the kettlebell into the hook grip rather than the palm. We've got methods here of protecting the hands, but also the 3 different methods there of eliminating and keeping on top of our calluses, and then just being able to listen within a set. As soon as we start to feel a pull, stop the set immediately, because if you carry on, it's going to negatively affect your training for a week or 2, and we want to avoid that at all costs. Anyway, I hope you find that useful, and if you've got any comments, just drop one down below.